Now let's go to the next sutta, 86, Angulimala Sutta, on Angulimala. Thus have I heard. On one occasion, the Blessed One was living at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anatta Pindika's park. Now on that occasion, there was a bandit in the realm of King Pasenadi of Kosala named Angulimala, who was murderous, bloody-handed, given to blows and violence, merciless to living beings. Villages, towns and districts were laid waste by him. He was constantly murdering people, and he wore their fingers as a garland. Stop here for a moment. This bandit was called Angulimala. This Anguli means finger. Mala means a garland. So his name was Finger Garland. He used to murder people, cut off their fingers and string them together like a garland and wear. Then when it was morning, the Blessed One dressed. And taking his bowl and outer robe, went into Savatthi for alms. When he had wandered for alms in Savatthi and had returned from his alms round, after his meal he set his resting place in order, and taking his bowl and outer robe, set out on the road leading towards Angulimala. Cowherds, shepherds and ploughmen passing by saw the Blessed One walking along the road leading towards Angulimala, and told him, "Do not take this road, recluse. On this road is the bandit Angulimala, who is murderous, bloody-handed, given to blows and violence, merciless to living beings. Villages, towns and districts have been laid waste by him. He is constantly murdering people, and he wears their fingers as a garland. Men have come along this road in groups of 10, 20, 30 and even 40, but still they have fallen into Angulimala's hands." When this was said, the Blessed One went on in silence. For the second time, for the third time, the cowherds, shepherds and ploughmen told this to the Blessed One, but still the Blessed One went on in silence. Stop here for a moment. So you can see from here, the Buddha purposely walked up the hill to meet Angulimala. Even though he was told not to go, he went. Which shows probably the Buddha having surveyed the world with his divine eye, or heavenly eye. He saw this Angulimala as someone who had the potential to become an Arahant. That's why he went to him. The bandit Angulimala saw the Blessed One coming in the distance. When he saw him, he thought, "It is wonderful, it is marvelous. Men have come along this road in groups of 10, 20, 30 and even 40, but still they have fallen into my hands. And now this recluse comes alone, unaccompanied, as if driven by fate. Why shouldn't I take this recluse's life?" Angulimala then took up his sword and shield, buckled on his bow and quiver, and followed close behind the Blessed One. Then the Blessed One performed such a feat of supernormal power or psychic power that the bandit Angulimala, though walking as fast as he could not catch up with the Blessed One who was walking at his normal pace. Then the bandit Angulimala thought, "It is wonderful, it is marvelous. Formerly I could catch up even with a swift elephant and seize it. I could catch up even with a swift horse and seize it. I could catch up even with a swift chariot and seize it. I could catch up even with a swift deer and seize it. But now, though I am walking as fast as I cannot catch up with this recluse who is walking at his normal pace." He stopped and called out to the Blessed One, "Stop, recluse, stop, recluse." And the Buddha said, "I have stopped, Angulimala. You stop too." Then the bandit Angulimala thought, "These recluses, sons of the Sakyans, speak the truth, assert truth. But though this recluse is still walking, he says, 'I have stopped, Angulimala. You stop too.' Suppose I question this recluse." Then the bandit Angulimala addressed the Blessed One in stanzas thus, "While you are walking, recluse, you tell me you have stopped. But now, when I have stopped, you say I have not stopped. I ask you now, O recluse, about the meaning. How is it that you have stopped and I have not?" "Angulimala, you have stopped. I have stopped forever. I abstain from violence towards living beings, but you have no restraint towards things that live. That is why I have stopped and you have not." "Oh, at long last, this recluse, a venerated sage, has come to this great forest for my sake. Having heard your stanza teaching me the Dhamma, I will indeed renounce evil forever. So saying, the bandit took his sword and weapon and flung them in a gaping chasm's pit. The bandit worshipped the Sublime One's feet and then and there asked for the going forth. The Enlightened One, the sage of great compassion, the teacher of the world with all its gods, addressed him with these words, "Come, monk," and that was how he came to be a monk. Then the Blessed One set out to wander back to Savatthi with Angulimala as his attendant. Wandering by stages, he eventually arrived at Savatthi, and there he lived at Savatthi in Jeta's Grove, Anatta Pindika's park. Stop here for a while. So the Buddha told him, I have stopped killing living beings. It also implies, I have stopped turning on the round of rebirths. But because you are still creating a lot of unwholesome karma, you have not stopped from the round of rebirths. So when Angulimala went to pay homage to the Buddha, although it's not mentioned here, possibly the Buddha taught him the Dhamma. And having heard the Dhamma, he wanted to become a monk. Now on that occasion, great crowds of people were gathering at the gates of King Pasenadi's inner palace, very loud and noisy, crying, "Sire, the bandit Angulimala is in your realm. He is murderous, bloody-handed, given to blows and violence, merciless to living beings. Villages, towns and districts have been laid waste by him. He is constantly murdering people and he wears their fingers as a garland. The king must put him down." Then in the middle of the day, King Pasenadi of Kosala drove out of Savatthi with a cavalry of 500 men and set out for the park. He drove thus as far as the road was passable for carriages, and then he dismounted from his carriage and went forward on foot to the Blessed One. After paying homage to the Blessed One, he sat down at one side, and the Blessed One said to him, "What is it, great king? Is King Senior Bimbisara of Magadha attacking you, or the Lichavis of Vesali, or other hostile kings?" "Venerable sir, King Senior Bimbisara of Magadha is not attacking me, nor are the Lichavis of Vesali, nor are other hostile kings. But there is a bandit in my realm named Angulimala, who is murderous, bloody-handed, given to blows and violence, merciless to living beings. Villages, towns and districts have been laid waste by him. He is constantly murdering people, and he wears their fingers as a garland. I shall never be able to put him down, venerable sir." Stop here for a while now. So here you see, because of the people clamoring for this King Pasenadi to go and kill this Angulimala, so he was on his way with 500 soldiers. But it looks as though he was also nervous. He thought maybe he might be killed by Angulimala. So maybe he went to the Buddha for some blessing. And the Buddha said, "Great king, suppose you were to see that Angulimala had shaved off his hair and beard, put on the yellow robe, and gone forth from the home life into homelessness, that he has abstained from killing living beings, from taking what is not given, and from false speech, that he was refraining from eating at night, ate only in one part of the day, and was celibate, virtuous, of good character. If you were to see him thus, how would you treat him?" "Venerable sir, we would pay homage to him, or rise up for him, or invite him to be seated, or we would invite him to accept robes, alms, food, a resting place, or medicinal requisites, or we would arrange for him lawful guarding, defense and protection. But venerable sir, he is an immoral man, one of evil character. How could he ever have such virtue and restraint?" I'll stop here for a moment. So here you see, the king is saying that if he really became a monk, we would pay homage to him, rise up for him, invite him to be seated, invite him to accept robes, etc., and arrange for his lawful guarding, defense and protection. So even a king, if a person becomes a monk, even a king pays homage to him. So that's why in the tradition, like in Thailand, even the king bows down to monks. Now on that occasion, the Venerable Angulimala was sitting not far from the Blessed One. Then the Blessed One extended his right arm and said to King Pasenadi of Kosala, "Great king, that is Angulimala." Then King Pasenadi was frightened, alarmed and terrified. Knowing this, the Blessed One told him, "Do not be afraid, great king, do not be afraid. There is nothing for you to fear from him." Then the king's fear, alarm and terror subsided. He went over to the Venerable Angulimala and said, "Venerable Sir, is the noble Lord really Angulimala?" "Yes, great king." "Venerable Sir, of what family is the noble Lord's father? Of what family is his mother?" "My father is a Gaga, great king. My mother is a Mantani." "Let the noble Lord Gaga Mantani Putta rest content. I shall provide robes, arms, food, resting place, and medicinal requisites for the noble Lord Gaga Mantani Putta." Now at that time, the Venerable Angulimala was a forest dweller, an alms food eater, a refuse rag wearer, and restricted himself to 3 robes. He replied, "Enough, great king, my triple robe is complete." Let's stop here for a moment. So you see this in India, because of the caste system, the family belonging to what caste is very important. When they mention their family name, they will know immediately what caste they belong to. So that's why the king wants to know what is his father's family name, what is the mother's family name, and all these things. The other thing, this Angulimala, he's such a fierce person, having killed so many people, that when the king saw him, immediately all his hair stood on end. There's some people like this, we say in Hokkien, what you call it, hum, a kind of, I don't know how you say, vibes that make people really frightened. Once I had this experience, I was at that time staying on Penang Hill, in this cave where I stayed a few years. So every morning I'd come down on alms round to Aitam, where the devotees waited for me. So I was coming down the hill, and then I rounded a corner. Went round the corner, suddenly there was this big eagle standing on the tree. So I saw the eagle, and the eagle saw me, and it flew off. But that short moment when I saw him, I could sense this fierceness in him. A certain kind of, so in this kind of being, you see them immediately, you get a fright. So because of the natural fierceness, probably previously as a human being, also must have been a very fierce person, and killed a lot, and now become a killer bird. King Pasenadi then returned to the Blessed One, and after paying homage to him, he sat down at one side and said, "It is wonderful, Venerable Sir, it is marvelous how the Blessed One tames the untamed, brings peace to the unpeaceful, and leads to Nibbana those who have not attained Nibbana. Venerable Sir, we ourselves could not tame him with force and weapons, yet the Blessed One has tamed him without force or weapons. And now, Venerable Sir, we depart. We are busy and have much to do. Now is the time, great king, to do as you think fit." Then King Pasenadi of Kosala rose from his seat, and after paying homage to the Blessed One, keeping him on his right, he departed. So the king, he praised the Buddha when other people could not tame this Angulimala, even with weapons. The Buddha, just by words alone, can tame him. Then when it was morning, the Venerable Angulimala dressed, and taking his bowl and outer robe, went into Savatthi for alms. As he was wandering for alms from house to house in Savatthi, he saw a certain woman giving birth to a deformed child. When he saw this, he thought, "How beings are afflicted! Indeed, how beings are afflicted!" When he had wandered for alms in Savatthi and had returned from his alms round, after his meal he went to the Blessed One, and after paying homage to him, he sat down at one side and said, "Venerable Sir, in the morning I dressed, and taking my bowl and outer robe, went into Savatthi for alms. As I was wandering for alms from house to house in Savatthi, I saw a certain woman giving birth to a deformed child. When I saw that, I thought, how beings are afflicted! Indeed, how beings are afflicted." And the Buddha said, "In that case, Angulimala, go into Savatthi and say to that woman, Sister, since I was born, I do not recall that I have ever intentionally deprived a living being of life. By this truth, may you be well, and may your infant be well. Remember, sir, wouldn't I be telling a deliberate lie, for I have intentionally deprived many living beings of life? Then Angulimala, go into Savatthi and say to that woman, Sister, since I was born with a noble birth, I do not recall that I have ever intentionally deprived a living being of life. By this truth, may you be well, and may your infant be well. Venerable Sir, the Venerable Angulimala replied, Yes, Venerable Sir, the Venerable Angulimala replied. And having gone into Savatthi, he told that woman, Sister, since I was born with a noble birth, I do not recall that I have ever intentionally deprived a living being of life. By this truth, may you be well, and may your infant be well. Then the woman and the infant became well. Stop here for a moment. So here, this translation says that this woman gave birth to a deformed child. Whereas in some other suttas, some other books, they say that this woman was in labor pain and could not give birth. I don't know whether you all have heard that. Yeah. So, anyway, whichever it is. So now because of this incident here, nowadays, some women, when they are about to give birth, they are afraid they may have too much labor pains or give birth to some deformed child. Then they like to chant these words of Angulimala. These words actually mean, since I was born with a noble birth, I do not recall that I have ever intentionally deprived a living being of life. By this truth, may you be well, and may your infant be well. So they also invite monks to do this chant for them. So you notice here, he says, since I was born with a noble birth. When a person becomes a monk, he is considered nobility. That's why, like in Thailand, monks are called pra. Sometimes they are called luang. These are titles used for noble people, relations of the king. Only relations of the king can use this. That's why, like in Thailand, they have two ways of speaking. Ordinary language and the language of nobles, royal families. Nobles, they speak slightly different terms. Like lay people, they say eat rice, they say kin ahan, eat food, kin ahan, kin eat. But monks and royalty, they say chan, eat, chan. So that's why you see just now the king asked this Angulimala. He said, Venerable Sir, is the noble Lord really Angulimala? Venerable Sir, of what family is the noble Lord's family? He addressed him as a noble, The king addressed Angulimala as a noble. So it doesn't matter what caste a monk comes from. Once he is ordained as a monk, then he's considered royalty, provided he behaves like a monk. Okay. Before long, dwelling alone, withdrawn, diligent, ardent, and resolute, the Venerable Angulimala, by realizing for himself with direct knowledge, here now entered upon and abided in that supreme goal of the holy life, for the sake of which clansmen rightly go forth from the home life into homelessness. He directly knew birth is destroyed, the holy life has been lived, what had to be done has been done. There is no more coming to any state of being. And the Venerable Angulimala became one of the Arahants. Then when it was morning, Venerable Angulimala dressed, and taking his bowl and outer robe, went into Savatthi for alms. Now on that occasion, someone threw a cloth and it hit the Venerable Angulimala's body. Someone else threw a stick and hit his body. Someone else threw a potsherd and hit his body. Then with blood running from his cut head, with his bowl broken, and with his outer robe torn, the Venerable Angulimala went to the Blessed One. The Blessed One saw him coming in the distance and told him, Bear it, Brahmana, bear it, Brahmana. You are experiencing here and now the result of deeds because of which you might have been tortured in hell for many years, for many hundreds of years, for many thousands of years. I'll stop here for a moment. So here, you see, even after he became enlightened, he still has to pay for his karma. Because he had killed so many people, some people whose relations were killed by him, they have a grudge against him. So when they know that this person was the former bandit, when he went on arms round, some people would beat him with a stick or throw a potsherd, part of a pot at him, and sometimes hit his head. So I don't know how many times this happened. This must have happened many times because he killed so many people. So even when a person becomes liberated, becomes an arahant, karma still follows him. Karma vipaka. Then while the Venerable Angulimala was alone in retreat, experiencing the bliss of deliverance, he uttered this exclamation: "Who once did live in negligence and then is negligent no more? He illuminates the world like the moon freed from a cloud. Who checks the evil deeds he did by doing wholesome deeds instead? He illuminates the world like the moon freed from a cloud. The youthful monk who devotes his efforts to the Buddha's teaching, he illuminates the world like the moon freed from a cloud. Let my enemies hear discourse on the Dhamma. Let them be devoted to the Buddha's teaching. Let my enemies wait on those good people who lead others to accept the Dhamma. Let my enemies give ear from time to time and hear the Dhamma of those who preach forbearance, of those who speak as well in praise of kindness, and let them follow up their Dhamma with kind deeds. For surely then they would not wish to harm me, nor would they think of harming other beings. So those who would protect all, frail or strong, let them attain the all-surpassing peace. Conduit makers guide the water, fletchers straighten out the arrow shaft, carpenters straighten out the timber, but wise men seek to tame themselves. There are some that tame with beatings, some with goads and some with whips. But I was tamed by such alone, who has no rod nor any weapon. Harmless is the name I bear, though I was dangerous in the past. The name I bear today is true. I hurt no living being at all. And though I once lived as a bandit, with the name of Angulimala, for one whom the great flood swept along, I went for refuge to the Buddha. And though I once was bloody-handed, with the name of Finger Garland, see the refuge I have found, the bond of being has been cut. While I did many deeds that lead to rebirth in the evil realms, yet the result has reached me now, and so I eat free from death. They are fools and have no sense who give themselves to negligence, but those of wisdom guard diligence and treat it as the greatest good. Do not give way to negligence, nor seek delight in sensual pleasures, but meditate with diligence so as to reach the perfect bliss. So welcome to that choice of mine, and let it stand. It was not ill made. Of all the Dhammas known to men, I have come to the very best. So welcome to that choice of mine, and let it stand. It was not ill made. I have attained the triple knowledge and done all that the Buddha teaches. That's the end of the sutta. So in the end, he praised the Buddha and the renunciants who walk the holy life. Ordinary people, they lead a life of negligence, indulging in sensual pleasures. So just like the Chinese saying, Tao Ti Boi Kho, whereas monks, Tao Kho Boi Ti. For ordinary people, we enjoy first, and then you pay later with tears. Life, when you enjoy, just like a credit card, nothing is free in this world. In the end, you have to pay for it. Whereas people who lead the holy life, you suffer first, but in the end is sweet. When we are young, we don't realize the value of the Dhamma. We don't realize the value of the spiritual path. When we are old, then only we regret when we had the chance to practice. We did not take the chance. A lot of people, they don't realize in life many things come your way just once. As you grow old, then you realize many things come our way just once. A few years ago, there was a man who came here for retreat, and he came only once, stayed 2 weeks, and he didn't appreciate. Then he left and never came back again. 4 years later, when he came back just to tell me he had cancer. It's too late, terminal cancer. He told me one thing he regret in life. He didn't come back to to do retreats. And that was too late. After he just came all the way from Kuala Lumpur just to tell me that. After that he went back. About 2 weeks later he passed away. So life is so uncertain. You don't know how long is your life. If you know how long is your life, you won't be negligent, like Angulimala says. A lot of people are negligent. You always think we have time, but actually we don't have time. Okay, end here. If there are any questions, you can ask. Oh yes, I believe Angulimala has very good karma from the past. That's why the Buddha went to him. Secondly, I can tell you, many years ago when I was in Penang, I had one devotee who was a close supporter of mine, and he told me about a man he knows who used to be a gangster. And this man, in his younger days, being a gangster, was involved in gang fights, and he killed 2 men with his own hand, stabbed 2 men to death. Now he was old already, maybe 50 or something. So he's quite a different person. So he told this devotee he saw this devotee of mine coming to learn the Dhamma and learning meditation and doing offerings to monks and all these things. So he also became interested. He also joined him. And then he went to the meditation center to learn meditation. Initially, when he learned meditation, he seemed to progress. And then as he progressed, come to a certain stage, as he went into his mind, then he experienced the whole mind turning in dark force, turning. So he was so frightened, he stopped meditating. Because a lot of things are deep in our subconsciousness. So as we meditate, as we go deeper into our mind, then a lot of memories start to come up. So because of his killing somebody, this evil karma is deep inside his subconscious. So when he meditates deeper, it comes to haunt him. So he was so afraid he could not. He had to give up meditation. So you can imagine somebody like Angulimala, when he meditated, I'm sure all these people that he killed will come to haunt him. So he has to exert a strong will to overcome all these. Each one of us, we have different unwholesome states buried inside us, these kilesas. So like for somebody like Angulimala is very extreme, but he knows he has to fight it, because if he doesn't fight it, he knows hell is waiting for him. If he does not become an Arya, he will have to go to hell and pay for many hundreds of thousands of years. So because of that fear, he strove very hard. In spite of somebody like him, it will be extremely difficult to strive on the spiritual path. Much more difficult than other people. All these obstacles will come to him. You see, like even when he goes Pindabat, people will beat him. He has to stand it. Come back with the head bloody and all these things. And but the worst is the meditation, because when he meditates, goes into his mind, all these things come up. So he because he put so much effort, finally he became enlightened. He needs a superhuman effort for him to attain that liberation.
Is it true that these Angulimala, he lived to a white hole and was not killed by any of the religions? Because there are some stories that he couldn't escape his path and he escaped.
These stories, if it's not found in the suttas, you don't have to believe them. They're all created by people out of their own imagination. But I would probably think, because of his taking so much life, that he should probably have a short life. Though it's mentioned 7 years, 6 years, all that down to 7 months and all these things, I think that is just an Indian way of speaking. Indians, they have certain numbers they like to use often, like 500, 84,000, all that. So you can see from the Vinaya books that there's no such thing, that it's not that the monks become enlightened exactly 7 years. No such thing. Mahathera. Yeah. Very simple reason why his practice of the Brahma Viharas didn't lead to enlightenment is that at that time there was no Dhamma in the world. At that time there was no Buddha in the world, no Dhamma, no Sangha. That's a long time ago.
Okay, but our present practice will still try to strive for the four Brahma Viharas.
Not absolutely necessary. These 4 Brahma Viharas are just one of the samatha meditation. So the purpose is to attain the jhanas. So when you attain the 4 jhanas or the arupa jhanas, then combined with the knowledge of the Dhamma, then only you can attain enlightenment or the various stages of Aryahood. So this attaining the jhanas is a samatha part. Understanding the suttas, the words of the Buddha, the Dhamma, that is the vipassana. That is the vipassana part. Vipassana is not meditation. Vipassana is understanding the Dhamma. Okay, shall we end here?